Because we have an ego that wants to protect us and wants to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't right. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe you're not worthy of this. Maybe you're not skilled enough for this. Our ego wants to protect us. And we say to our ego, well, thank you. Thanks for your comment. Appreciate it, but I'm good.
Hello and welcome to Center for Victory's podcast of Your Best Day Yet. At Center for Victory, we're here to help unlock, reinforce, and enrich relationships through personal and professional development. I am Eric Guy, Chief Victory Officer at the Center for Victory. With me today is a very special guest. Maybe you might notice her. We talked about her a little bit from a guest a couple months back. His name is Neil Rogers. We have the better half today. Ms. Lori Rogers. So just to give you guys some background, because you probably won't remember, but we talked with Neil, talked about his book, Bar Tips, but Lori's the other half of the equation here, doing business, life, parenting, and we're going to talk about that too, because it fascinates me what y'all are doing too. So the president and co-owner of Rogers Marketing in the Boston area. We don't hold that against you since you're not from Pittsburgh, but you're all right. So large and small corporations alike have trusted her for over 36 years to provide them with exceptional promotional products, online stores, engagement programs, swag sites, and creative marketing service. So she and her husband, Neil, have been married for 36 years. Okay.
Yes.
They have been partners in life and business. And if you can remember Neil, he's just a great guy. I enjoyed that podcast with him. They created the Positive Activity Program to share their scientifically proven success tools and to inspire others to achieve their goals one step at a time. And it is about using positive, creative, and consistent habits to get new clients, keep the ones you have, and grow as a business. Lori's also the mother of an adult autistic son and a big proponent of the positive effects of spelling to communicate. Welcome, Lori.
Thank you, Eric. This is awesome. Thanks for helping me to share my knowledge, my story, my passions. Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of go off script here. What are your passions? I mean, I interviewed Neil and he's very passionate. He said you were as well. Let's just go down that road because I like the energy that you both bring.
It changes from day to day, but okay, it changes, I would say, decade to decade. But I would say in the last 2 years, 3 years, my passion has been to shout from the rooftops about spelling to communicate, which has flipped on its head our lives and my non-speaking 33-year-old son diagnosed with autism. He doesn't want to be called autistic anymore, but he has that diagnosis. And because it's giving him a tool to communicate with. So I want every parent to know. I didn't find out about it till he was 31. So kids can do this when they're 5, 6, 7 years old. So now my passion is to get the word out about this. I'm also passionate about helping entrepreneurs, salespeople, really anyone, but most of our conferences and our webinars or our events are salespeople and women that are in business for themselves as well. It's kind of like that niche that we've been presenting to give them the tools to attract and to receive and to grow their abundance, their client base, their sales, their productivity, and open their brains up to this creative process. The creative ideas can flow. So I say that and we're like, woohoo, what is she talking about? But what's beautiful about these activities and this whole mindset shift is that it has been scientifically proven to do all of these amazing things for you. So it's not just out of the blue. Once I learned they were scientifically proven, I said, oh my, Neil, I need to teach this. I need to tell everyone about this. These are things you can do. It's your time, but it's free. It's like, I don't know. I'm just so passionate about teaching it to people and telling them.
Yeah. What types of things are you teaching? Can you give us a little bit of insight to that?
Sure. So what we teach, do you want to hear do you want me to, Well, I'll tell you what I teach. I
Yeah.
teach that first and foremost, there's a stream of well-being coming to you all the time, of abundance, of health, of joy, of love. So what are we all doing to prevent that stream from coming to us? Well, we do a lot to do that. When, let's say, for instance, in 2011, after that downturn in the economy, that was, I know, 13 years ago, but it did happen. And we lost clients, we lost, contracts, we lost quotes and sales. And I was saying, and I made this chart back then too. This is what I was saying. And this is what was blocking me from
Uh,
everything. So my thoughts, my words, my beliefs were, oh, I don't have enough time. Selling is so hard. My clients don't appreciate me. The economy is so bad.
mm,
I won't win that, like on and on and on and on. These negative thoughts, which then become beliefs. So guess what your beautiful brain does? It brings those things to you. Oh, she wants it to be hard. She wants her clients to go away. She doesn't want to sell. Well, that's what I'm going to attract to her. And that's what I'm going to bring her. Because your unconscious mind is a very faithful friend. And it wants you to have what you want. So it thinks that's what I wanted. Right.
mhm.
So what I try to do is what I don't try to do it. I do it. I teach people that, okay, first and foremost, you shift those thought patterns so that you say positive affirmations and you say them in a positive way, like you have it right now. So now I say things like, I am open to the good and the abundance in the universe. I love my clients and my clients love me. There is plenty for everyone, including me. There are plenty of customers for my services. So like, and now believe me, at first these things weren't easy for me to say because it was like, oh, I don't know yet. I don't know. And at each day, as I got better and better at it and repeated them, I put them up on my vision board. Then my brain is like, okay, all right, you really mean that. Okay, I'm going to start, bringing these things to you. So the point is, okay, so step one, you want something, right? So what do? Oh, I really want that new job. I really want that new home. I really want that new car. Really want my raise. So what happens is your brain says, okay, well, they really want it. She really wants it. I'm going to keep giving her the wanting of it, not the having of it. So we have to shift that piece, that language to say, I am my new car. I am that new house. That new house is coming to me soon. I am a speaker. I am a writer. I am a great presenter. So that you have it here. Your brain doesn't, know whether you do or not, but it's going to keep giving it to you, right? So shifting that language is a huge part of it. The other piece is the third step is the allowing it, right? The allowing it
Yes. Yes.
to be open and excited, to have the belief that it's coming. You need to believe it before you see it. Sometimes that's hard, but
Hmm.
that's step 3. Believe it before you see it, and patience. So the step 3 piece is the piece that I am passionate about, and that's where people need the help to raise their positivity, to raise their happiness level so that step 3 can flow to them. So the step 3 part is what has been scientifically proven, but at the time, I didn't know that's what they were proving when I was doing. So, from 2012 to 2018 or so, I was doing these practices and our sales increased. We increased our sales over 250%. Life was good. I was feeling so much better. I was calmer. I was breaking free of that cage of fear and worry that just kept me kind of, and then I watched Sean Achor. It's Achor on his TED Talk you can see it on YouTube. It's 12 minutes and 53 seconds of like, how brain like blowing, mind blowing. I was like, oh, wait, time out. he's talking about the things I'm doing, and he's showing how what you're doing to raise your happiness level brings you on average 30% more sales, 19% more productive. You're more resilient to illness. You live longer. You have a better job. You have more reliable teams that stick with you. Da 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 da. All these things. I was like, okay, wait, time out. If this is scientifically proven to improve your life, then Neil, we've got to get this on paper. I've got to get this somehow in a structured manner so that I can tell people about it and teach people the activities that I'm doing that they can do too in, I don't know, 15 minutes in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
this should sound very familiar and to a lot of people that tune in, and it really should sound familiar to my coaching clients because we go over quite a bit
Yay,
of
coaching.
these things. Yeah. It's very important. I think one of the things, I'm going to put this question back on you because I just had it happen again this morning.
Okay.
Things come in real fast and they start to get maybe too easy for us. I'll give you an example. So I went to have coffee with a couple gentlemen today. I'm walking out of the coffee shop. Gentleman stops me. He's with somebody that I know. Guy says, "Hey, you need to know him. This is what he does." I mean, it's literally happened within 15 seconds. And this guy's like, "Hey, I want your number. I want it right now. I want to talk next week."
Mhm.
And I was like, "Oh, that happened really quick." So it gets back to your allowing. Like, do I allow that or do I make it harder than it needs to be? This gentleman's ready to go. He literally said, "I'm like," he just met me and he's like, "I want to buy what you have." And I was like,
Wow.
and I left there with a little bit of resistance. I'm like, oh, that can't be true. So I'm watching my mind like play
Yeah.
out this picture. I'm like, no, just let it be. And so the first person that I got to, the very next person that I got to for my next appointment is a very good friend of mine. And I said, look, I got to tell you this because this is how it's supposed to happen. So just to
Right.
reiterate that
Yes.
affirmation is like,
That's amazing. That's
uh,
amazing. Yeah.
why do you think
Sometimes
we do that?
because we have an ego that wants to protect us and wants to say, oh, wait a minute, maybe don't be, maybe this isn't right. Maybe it's too soon. Maybe you're not worthy of this. Maybe you're not skilled enough for this. Our ego wants to protect us. And we say to our ego, well, thank you. Thanks for your comment. Appreciate it, but I'm good. And I can do this.
Hey everyone, Caleb Kolb here, Chief Adventure Officer with Center for Victory. If you haven't heard yet, we are doing a Grand Canyon Rim to Rim trip. It's going to be great. October 4th to the 6th. Go to Center for Victory website under the Experiences tab and check it out. We'd love to see you. Also, like, share, subscribe to Center for Victory podcast. See you on the trail.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
normal. It's human. It's human.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think when people start down that road, they start questioning that and they get into, when you hit I'm not saying everything's sunshine and rainbows, but
Oh, I'm
there are
not
things
either.
you just said with 2011, I mean, when COVID hit for us, I mean, we were out and about. We are a training company. And
Mhm.
a lot of the training that we do at that point in time was face to face. Like, you want to talk about straight up panic when all
Yeah.
your training revenue goes off the board, and it was literally just going off, going off, going. And I'm just like, you get into that mindset and you got to get yourself back. How, I guess
Right.
maybe a question for you is how, like, when you have that downturn, like, we're not saying everything is perfect all the time, but when you have that downturn, like you did,
Mhm.
like what you just shared, how do you get back on track?
Well, I talk about this too because we did go through COVID in our business, and same thing. My clients were at home. Everything stopped. No more trade shows, right? For the Rogers marketing business,
Mm-hmm.
no more swag, no more events, no more anything. And that fear and worry in your heart and in the pit of your stomach. So I sat with it for a day or two. I said, okay, all right, fine. After a day or two, we sort of Neil and I and our team, got together. And I think the key is, first of all, you're human. You're going to feel the emotion. You're going to feel the disappointment. You're going to feel the worry and the fear. So you acknowledge it. Say, okay, thank you. Thanks, ego. Thank you. I'm going to sit with this for a few days and let this flow through me and go out so it can just leave. And then because I have built up my happiness level and I have built up my resilience, yes, I'm taken down a few notches, but no, I know new things and new ideas and new ways to market to people are going to come to me. So I didn't even know what Zoom was 2020. Well, I did, but
Yeah.
like we never used it.
Right.
So then we started our Zoom account. We emailed every single one of our clients individually and asked them if we could have their home address so that we could send them swag at home and stay connected with them. 99% of them did and gave us their home address. We just thought of different ways to market to them, different ideas flowed. Also, this is a big thing. I shifted my perspective. So 10% of your long-term happiness is based on your outside world, the house you live in, the job you have, the car you drive, your income, how much money you have in the bank. But 90% of your long-term happiness is predicted by how you perceive things. So I had learned that prior to COVID. And I said, all right, Neil, well, like if we're going to slow down for the next few weeks, I thought it was 3 weeks, like
Right.
then
Me too.
it'd be fine. Yeah. Then let's clean out this closet. Let's get our marketing list organized. Let's get our email database together. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. And let's figure out, let's take a step back and really regroup. Let's learn Zoom. Let's learn, more about constant contact and how to flow through that. Let's get better at our Facebook and our marketing posts. So let's take that downturn or that stoppage, that pause as a good thing and shift your perspective on it. Because people get mad at me when I say this, but I say, I appreciated the stoppage. I appreciated the pause. I got so much done. I connected in different ways with my clients. I really got great at my positive activity presentation.
Mhm.
I was able to write my workbook. I was so it wasn't the worst thing in the world to me. It just wasn't. But I mean, I may have thought it was initially, but
Mhm.
then as days went by and weeks went by, it's like, oh no, we can do this. We can shift, we can change. And because my happiness level and my positivity was higher, the new ideas just kept flowing in on ways to connect with clients and people and things to do and ways to write and to blog. So I would say, here's the thing. Every day we have our tiny little disappointments, right?
Mhm.
And I love what you said about not every day is roses and butterflies. And it's true because you are a rational optimist. That's what I'm calling you. Because a rational optimist does not have their head in the sand and absolutely stays as positive as possible, even though we know everything going on over here. We know that. But we also know we can't help all of that bad stuff if we're down in the ditch with it. The only way to help our community, our world, our friends, our family is to stay higher up
Mhm.
and stay positive. Even though I might be called Pollyanna, I'm fine. I'll take it. I'll take it. That's okay.
Yeah.
So back to so anyway, when I think about like yesterday, we were worried an order wasn't going to ship on time. My client was going to miss the event. And like things like this happen every day in our lives. So you just say, okay, I'm going to take a breath. I'm annoyed right now. I'm going to wait a minute before I call this supplier, and you try to work in these habits every day of just calm and peace and just, no, this is going to work out. It's going to work out. And it always does. I mean, it doesn't always, but even if it doesn't, at least I can call my client. We can figure something out. So the resilience you build by these happiness habits and these positive activities help you field the storms in life. That's not even the right word, but help you sail through them.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not, yeah.
So I'll share a little story with you, Lori. But my first big affirmation when I learned about this years and years and years ago, um, I put it on a 3x5 card, and it was the most difficult thing at that point in time for me to understand, which is kind of crazy today, because it even went through COVID. I'm talking years ago. I'm talking 25 years ago. I,
Okay.
I really struggled with relationships.
Okay.
All right. And I went on to become, an expert in relationships, lecturing all over the place, even outside the country to the world, things like that.
Wow.
But my first 3x5 card actually said relationships come easily and quickly.
Oh, oh, I love it.
And I didn't believe it. You
Oh,
said earlier you don't believe it at first because I couldn't, how is this going to happen? And you just have to put it out there. And again, your brain, and I didn't know all the neuroscience I know now. I
yeah.
just
Yeah.
knew that it needed to work. That's what I wanted. All right. And I'm celebrating, you're celebrating 36 with Neil. I'll be celebrating 28 in another month
Wow.
with mine. And that was the first big one, and I didn't want to blow that one either, and
Yeah.
done a pretty good job so far.
There you
uh,
go.
but I mean, it was such a thing. And then I look at what COVID did too, and how going all the way years back to having that card that says relationships come easily and quickly. I didn't know what to do other than do this, right? Just get
Right.
with people in a different way. And the world it has opened up for me relationally. Like to think of even the fact that like I interviewed your husband, Neil, interviewed him. We start talking about you. Next thing you know, you're on my show. Like
Right.
it's
Right.
just so
Right.
it's so easy, and it's like you got to let it go. You just like, let it happen. It can be that, but again, going back to the ego, it's like, well, can it be that easy? Right? Yeah, it can be
Yes,
if
it
you want it.
can. Yes, it can. Also, one thing I have up on my board too is I try to think when something not so great happens, how this is happening for me, not to me.
Yes.
So, and sometimes it's a hard thing to think about when you're in the storm or when you're in the problem or your kid is acting up or that you're in it, right? But then maybe the next day you can look back and you say, oh, I know why that happened the way it did. In 2000, I don't think it was in 2020. No, it was later than that, in 2021. One of our top clients um, reworked their marketing plan, and we became their second provider, not their top provider. So, I was bummed, disappointed. I said, well, maybe there'll still be a little business there for me, whatever. I was bummed. I'm not gonna lie. A couple of days, whatever it took to get over that. And then a week or two, a month went by, and we I don't want to say captured, but we acquired a new client that became bigger and bigger and bigger than that one ever was. And I said, oh, that's why that happened for me. That happened for me, right? Not to me. It happened for me because I needed the space for this gigantic police person.
Yeah.
But at the time, you're bummed and you're mad and you're disappointed, right? And so if we can kind of shift the language to say, okay, how is this happening for me? All right, what's my lesson here? And I see that too with my son. If he's having a bad day or he's anxious one day or not doing great one day, my son that's diagnosed with autism, I take that to heart. And boy, I get upset too. And one of the hardest things I think for parents, maybe even especially moms, is just take a deep breath and say, okay, it's all going to work out. Things are working out. And how is this happening for me? What do I need to learn here? Okay, mom, you need to learn to take a deep breath. It's his journey, not yours, right? Stay calm. It's all going to be okay. And what are you going to learn from this? Maybe tomorrow on the board, he can communicate to you what was wrong. And then you can help him through that the next time. So I keep this little card. Can you read it?
Yes.
Is it backwards to you or forward?
It's backwards to me. I can still read it.
Okay.
Things are always
So,
working
okay.
out for
Right.
me.
So it's backwards. It's printed backwards.
Yeah.
And I have this on the dashboard of my car, and it reflects in the window.
Uh-huh.
So it reads positively in the window, and it says things are always working out for me. And that's what I say. They may not work out right this moment and right this day, but they're always going to work out for me. And it may not be really what I even expected. Right? So, yeah.
That
Universe.
is a huge
What?
mindset. I may remember hearing that years and years and years ago. I think it was from Tony Robbins when he said that. I'm like, damn.
Oh,
That
did he? Ah, he stole it from me.
Yeah,
Come
he
on.
stole it from you. I'll give you credit from now on. It
Mhm.
might not have been him, but somebody said it, and I was like, "Wow, that is like I got to think about that for a bit because that means like everything that is happening is it, that's a big mind shift for a lot of people."
Yes.
And
Me too. I have a master's degree in math. Do you know how black and white I was? Do you know how logical I am? So for me to think of in a more energetic and more, you know, what's the word I want? Science-y way. I mean, math is kind of science, but
Mhm.
not really. It was a lot for me to
Yeah,
change as well. Yeah. The physics, like think of the physics of it. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't want to not talk about what's going on because when with your son and the spelling to communicate because
Uh-huh.
I want to help you shout that from the rooftops because I
Thank
would
you.
your husband Neil talked about it a little bit on our podcast, and after our podcast was done I'm like I need to talk to your wife because I mean that's where my heart was when I came out of school, graduate school. I'm a
Hmm.
licensed
Wow.
therapist, work with
Wow.
a lot of kids that have attachment disorders, or diagnosed with autism, or back in the day when when they still had the spectrum of
Hmm.
things and Asperger's and things. So I had a lot of kids that were diagnosed with Asperger's as well, and I really didn't know what I was doing, but I was having a lot of success with it, and
No.
so. I mean, I think it's a big thing now. Now our daughter is a special education teacher, and she
She's
so
gonna love this.
yeah.
Wow.
And so I'm going to ask you now on the podcast if she can reach out because I know she is
Yes.
just she is a ball of fire. She's got this such a great personality. She's off to a great start. She graduated high school early. She graduated college before she was could legally
Wow.
take a drink and got right into special education. And I just actually, as we were talking right now, I just got a text from her that she wanted to go into third grade. She's been in sixth grade for the past
Hmm.
couple of years, and she just said, "Hey, I got my third grade position." So, uh,
Yay.
so
She
she's
manifested that baby. Awesome.
yeah, and so she does a lot with media. Her school's sending her for a week to do some media training on the other side of the state here. But she's a big proponent of that too, and she knows that her struggle was real too. Maybe not so much with a diagnosis of autism, but just all the health problems she had, but
Hmm.
dyslexia and things like that, which made it that much more difficult for her. But we found a way for her to do well, and she found a way for her to do well, and she's very much positive. But I want you to talk to me a little bit about this whole spelling to communicate thing.
Yes. Spelling to communicate, or S, the number two, C, as it's known,
Yes.
is an acronym. So it is a communication tool that non-speaking individuals are using to communicate their wants, their needs, their goals, to show how smart they are. It's amazing because the non-speaking individuals diagnosed with autism, right? They can't do this. They can't speak.
Mm-hmm.
So your motor cortex is here in your brain, and your motor cortex will send signals to the muscles in your body. And for us, it works.
Mm-hmm.
Everything works fine. I can think of what I want to say and it flows. Their signals get cut, just messed up fuzzed out for some reason, which that's probably a whole nother podcast on why. But for now, it doesn't work. It doesn't work well. So Elizabeth Vossler, the woman that created this program, said, okay, wait a minute. They were kind of using it on stroke victims, is how it sort of came about. And she said, well, wait a minute. Why can't we teach these kids that this is one of the most fine motor skills you can have, is to speak? And honestly, for that, we all were born, became toddlers, and learned to speak is a miracle. It's a miracle. What has to happen for all of this to happen? So she said, okay, fine. I'm going to create this stencil, and it's a stencil with the letters of the alphabet in it. And I'm going to teach these kids to point with a pointer, right, to the letter to spell out the words so that they can say what they want to say. So how does it begin? It begins by we read them lessons. And they're very specific. There's very strict rules on training for this, how to do it, how to teach the child. The first lesson Craig ever did was back in 2022, and it was on Dr. Stephen Hawkins. And by the way, they're age appropriate lessons. So let me just back up and say, Craig was never in a regular ed classroom. The special intensive needs classrooms were always in the bowel of the school, back there, usually without a window, and that's that, right? Never was he in whatever, integrated. So we didn't know what he knew. I wasn't sure of what he knew. He was never able to express it. So she read him a lesson on Dr. Stephen Hawkins, and then she asked him questions, and she asked him to spell out the answers, and that's what he did. And he spelled out the answer. And honestly, I sat there and said, yeah, I knew he could do this. I wasn't even surprised. I was like, oh, of course. So then she asked him a question where the answer wasn't in the lesson, and he spelled it out correctly and he answered it. I said, well, wait a minute. Crystal, that wasn't in the lesson. She goes, Lori, that's what we call prior knowledge. You know, your son is brilliant. There is so much that he knows. So I was, whoa, I wasn't blown away, but I was like nervous. I felt regret. I felt embarrassed. I was mad at myself. I was sad. I was like, oh my gosh, he's 31 years old. And here I am just realizing this and learning this tool, right? Which had been around for like 4, 5, 6 years. So, okay, so get over that, get over all of the regret and the disappointment, whatever. And we started practicing with him every day, and he got better. His motor planning, right? Because this is a gross motor skill, pointing, got better and better in his brain because of neuroplasticity. Thank you, God. Can create these new neural pathways so that he knows how to get to the letter, get to what he wants to say. So as you get better and better at it, then now what he can do is he can take the board, hand it to me, and he can spell out, I want to go to Roland's, or I want to go play basketball, or what, like an open communication, like not just answering questions from a lesson or whatever, but open communication, which is a human right, which is what we all want to do, right? It's just a beautiful thing. So yesterday I was doing a lesson. I said, all right, I'm going to do a lesson with you on read this article about Taylor Swift. This is really going to be cool. So before I even started, I asked him, who's her boyfriend? And he spells out Travis Kelce. I'm like, I don't know how he knew that. I must hear it on TV or hear it on the radio or whatever. My son can do Algebra 1. He knows his exponentials. We're doing biology together. And I keep asking him, how do you know this? How do you know how to do algebra? And he said, Mom, I always heard it. I could hear it. So when he was in high school, even though he was like, in the back room of a classroom, he did get around the school. He walked around. He had jobs that he did in the school, and he heard it and he learned it. He knows Spanish. The most amazing thing is, just because this motor cortex piece of your brain doesn't work, Well, your language, your words, your thoughts, your ideas, your goals, they're kept in this section of the brain, which is fully intact. And dare I say, it probably is for almost all of these non-speakers.
Mm-hmm.
So just because you're not speaking doesn't mean you're not thinking, right? It doesn't mean you don't have knowledge. So for him, now it's changed his world, because now I have a list of about 20 goals he wants to accomplish. And it's changed our world because we thought we were going down this road over here with him, light and easy. This is what it is. Okay, fine. And now we're like, back up, turn around. Now we're going this way. And you want all of these amazing, wonderful things for him now. And I would have to say that's probably our biggest challenge. My biggest challenge is as a mom, and to say, gosh, Craig, I know you want your GED. I know you want this. I know you want to live with friends. I know you want to play the guitar. You want to do this, 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 and this. And Dad and I are going to help you get there. We're going to help you get there. For me, I want it for him tomorrow. And I know it's baby steps. Every day we work every day on his materials and his learning, so that he can get better. But now, eventually, the kids graduate from a stencil to a laminated board, like this, where they can point to the letters. And then the most advanced is to be able to type on a keyboard into your iPad or your computer, and then the iPad speaks back for you. That's what he wants to do too. And actually, he told me early on, I want to speak with my mouth. So I said, okay, we go to PT. We're going to see a specialist about apraxia and helping to heal that part of the brain. We're doing all we can to help him. Actually, he really does want to learn to speak with his mouth. Yeah. I said, okay, well, in the meantime, to tell me what you want or what you need or what you care about, we'll have to use this. And he's happy to do that. Yeah. He's very happy. So yeah, it's just life-changing. So if any parent right now, and your daughter can watch this too, on YouTube, the Spellers documentary. So the Spellers documentary, which by the way is an award-winning documentary, is based on this book, Underestimated. And now it's the documentary is on YouTube. So you can just go to YouTube and search for Spellers, and you'll see 8 non-speakers diagnosed with autism that are either using this board or a keyboard, or some are using the stencil to communicate. And it's showing their journey. And it's very emotional. It's really amazing. And it's amazing. Yeah.
That's wonderful. One of the things that I love what Neil said, and I wanted to get your kind of feedback on it too, because I've always believed it. And when Neil said it during our podcast, I was like, those are perfect words, which are presumed competence.
Yes. So my instructor, our first practitioner, which by the way, the closest one was in Rhode Island. Now there's many more in many states. She said, I always presume competence, which means that this individual can and wants to learn. Yeah. And said, okay, wow. I'd never heard the words either. I'm like, boom. Yeah. So for Craig, he doesn't want to be called autistic. Yeah. He wants to, I said, well, what do you want to be called, bud? We've got some stuff going on here, right? Like, blah, blah, blah. And he's spelled out, I am human. Like, yeah, right. Wow. You are human. And I said, well, you are a non-speaker. You have some words, but it's not reliable and they're kind of repetitive. How do we label that in some way? And he says, I have apraxia. So apraxia is what I explained earlier when your motor cortex is trying to get the signals to your muscles and they get discombobulated. That's apraxia. So there's apraxia of speech and apraxia of body. And he doesn't want to be labeled that way. And I'm like, well, you're right. Sure. So when people so it's now I hate to even use the A word. I'd say he's a non-speaker with apraxia. So
yeah, it's amazing, and you don't know until you go and do something like that. Because I saw it. The best example I saw years and years and years ago was when my wife was teaching. I
mhm,
think it was her first or second year, and she had a young gentleman who was diagnosed autistic, and she pulled him into the classroom, and she she treated him the same way that she
mhm.
treated all the other kids. And I will tell you, still to this day, so he's probably, I think he was 12. He's probably about Craig's age right now,
Oh
somewhere
wow.
around in there. He still sends us emails, have a, like at
Oh,
Christmas, or just,
great.
hey, have a,
Yeah.
I get every once in a while, I get an email. Literally get an email. He found us somehow. So he follows us, and he just says, I get an email like last week. It says, just have a good Thursday. I'm like, cool. Yeah, I'm having a
Yeah.
good Thursday. And,
Yes.
so it does. But
They,
that really
oh,
meant a
yes.
lot when Neil said presumed competence. Like I just have naturally done that. And for me, I didn't have words to, I think I do that with a lot of people, right? I just like, you
Mm,
get it. You just don't know you get it yet.
yes.
And like,
Beautiful.
running into
Oh,
such situations like that, and to encourage parents, like parents need that hope, right?
yes.
Teachers need that hope because it's a tough job. It doesn't,
Right.
your heart has to be
Oh
in
my
it.
gosh. This will make a teacher's life so much easier.
Yeah.
If the kid's having a hard time, he can say why, right? Um, yeah, it's fascinating and amazing. But the documentary is amazing. This book is great too.
Mm-hmm.
This is on Amazon, Underestimated. This
Underestimated.
is how I learned about it too. If you have a second, I'll tell you a funny story. This book
Okay.
landed on our coffee table, and I don't know if you can see the
Neil
tagline
told
says
me
an
that.
autism miracle. And I went, oh no, not another
Another
miracle,
book.
not another road, not another 10 grand, not another la da 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 da. So I let it sit on the coffee table.
Yeah. Neil told me this. I
Then
think
nine
he told.
months later, someone else mentioned to me, oh no, I went to see a new doctor for Craig, a new functional medicine doctor. And she sit down here with her the first time. Lori, have you read Underestimated? I have a patient in New Jersey. So I'm like, oh geez, no, but I'll go home tonight and read it. So it was like it just so talk about like regret and mad. I was annoyed, da 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 da. It's like, okay, maybe it just wasn't the right time 9 months ago, or there weren't any practitioners in the area 9 months ago. And, so it's all happens in the right time. Right. So if a parent is hearing this for the second or third time about spelling to communicate, now's your time.
All right. That's great. That is
Yeah.
fantastic. A last question that we always ask everybody, Lori, because the podcast is called Your Best Day Yet. How would you define your best day yet?
Oh, wow. My best day yet, what I'll be super specific, was the day I was working with Craig and I had the board in front of him and he spelled out, Mom, I love you.
Mhm.
He's never said that. He's not a hugger. He's not emotional that way at all. I was just like, whoa. And then he spelled out smile more. I said, well, who do you want to smile more? And he said, MOM. Like, oh, okay. Like, Mom, come on. Like, don't be so serious. And it was really cute. That was like the
Oh,
best day, that communication that I got from him the first at 32 years old.
mm.
Yeah. It was fabulous.
Wow. I am
Yeah.
going to end on that note. That
Oh,
was great. Thank you. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Really appreciate you being on. Hopefully we can have you and or Neil or both of you back on because you just filled with so much knowledge and passion. Thank you for what you're doing. Keep doing it. Um, hopefully we can have you back on, like I said. But that's all for today, folks. If you're not inspired, you need to stop listening to this channel because that's a bunch of inspiration today. And if you are a parent that's struggling with something like that, get in, read those books. Reach out to us, to Lori,
Mhm.
to the Rogers. I'm sure they will help you. I know Neil's offered as well. So really appreciate that. And if you want more information, like I said, go to our website, Center for Victory. And just remember, wherever you're at, whatever you're doing, make this your best day yet. We'll see you.